good Thursday. There are so many things to talk about this morning, but the first thing I want to ask you is to subscribe to my channel and make sure that you like this live stream so that it can get sent out to more people and we can have more conversation. I do this live stream Monday through Friday, weekdays at around 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, and I'm always so glad to see you guys here. If you're watching on a replay, welcome, welcome. Everybody is welcome. Definitely put in the chat or in the sort of comment section of the live stream where you're logging in from, what part of the country, what part of the world, if you are not located in the United States. I love to see that so that we can see where exactly we are, hitting it up. All right, so let's get into some of the things that we are seeing around the globe today. One of the things that I wanted to start with is the fact that the president is actually giving a news conference right now about the UK trade deal that's happening. And so while we don't have all the specifics about that, I do think that that is very, very significant. So we will talk about that a little bit later. Let's also talk about this. I screenshotted this from this creator because I didn't have a chance to get into the actual Golden Globes to do this, but she was talking about a new award for the Golden Globes. It says the Golden Globes are adding Best Podcast category beginning in 2026. So there are award shows that actually have this category, but this is brand spanking new for the Golden Globes. I anticipate a lot of potential political podcasts to be on there, maybe even a Rachel Maddow or even the Midas Touch podcast. I'm not sure if you have a favorite podcast that you would like to see nominated for the Golden Globes in their new category. But I'm pretty sure that there are going to be a few of those podcasts that happen to be very politically leaning because they do them every single day. They've got very high numbers. Kelsey, what's her name? She's the wife of one of the former what is it called? NFL players. She has a podcast that does really, really, really well. So who knows? Who knows who's going to be on there? Bonjour. I have a few people giving me some French in the comments. Hello, Vivian. How are you? We were just talking about the Golden Globes adding a podcast category. If you, Sean or Vivian, if you actually listen to podcasts, which podcast would you like nominated in their brand spanking new category for best podcast? Leave it in the comments. I'm very interested to hear what you would like to see nominated. Let's talk about this one because I'm so torn on this one because obviously this is a big deal. Exclusive, it says for CNN, some Les Mis, this is Les Miserables, this is the Broadway show. Cast members plan to boycott Donald Trump's attendance at the Kennedy Center performance next month. I absolutely believe that if they are willing to sort of put their career on the line for standing up for what they believe, absolutely go ahead and do it. But I really do think that this is very delicate for some of these performers. If you are not someone who is in this sort of arena, doing this might end your career, depending on who is in charge and who is going to say, hey, it's okay for you not to be there, and we'll just put in, our swing for that particular show. But how many are going to boycott? If you have too many people boycotting, there's not enough swing performers to fill in a show. So I'm curious to see if they actually do this, because a lot of people would say, he is not a king. We do not perform for the king. It's not like, go ahead and twirl for me. Like, that's kind of what I see this as when he goes to the Kennedy Center. And if they decide to boycott, I am fully 100% behind them, but I fear for what this might do for their career. And, if they're willing to put their career on the line, then good for them. But some people might say this could be career ending. What do you think? Should they be boycotting, his attendance next month for Les Mis? Or should they just get on stage and what people might say is do your job, right? A lot of people say that about celebrities. We don't want to hear from celebrities, and their political viewpoints. They should just do their job, right? I'm not sure. Infinite Divine Light says they will need to hire a lot of seat fillers. I actually don't think so. I think these tickets are very well sold, in advance, and people have purchased those tickets probably last year, the schedule has been announced for some time. People knew this was coming to New York. I would say that those tickets have been sold for a long time. Maybe some of some of the upper seats probably still are available, but I would say that this is sort of. Do you remember when JD Vance and his wife went to a performance at the Kennedy Center, and the people in the audience turned around when they were like announced or whatever, and they booed? I fear this is going to be what happens to Donald Trump when he shows up to this performance. He's going to think he's going to get a round of applause, and it's not going to be that way. And he's going to say, these people, they don't know what, these are all paid actors or whatever. But that is very interesting. Who knows if they will actually go through with it? If enough performers boycott, they might not have a show. So that might be very interesting to see. This is a very, very hostile thing going on right now. That is, it could go one of two ways, basically. Pakistan's prime minister vows decisive action after India strikes kill 31. Now, if you haven't been following this is sort of like escalating the more time that goes by. If you see down here, they condemned the attacks which came in the wake of a tourist massacre in India-controlled Kashmir. Now, I was watching a video yesterday, and apparently a lot of people have been staying inside. They do not want to go outside because they fear some sort of retaliation. This is kind of an ongoing thing. So who knows how this will turn out? Obviously, we don't want any more violence to happen. And if you're in this area, I would just say, be safe, because this is not something that I think that even our president, I don't think he's even weighed in on saying what is happening, if they would be able to help and mitigate some sort of peace. Like he's been nowhere. Moving on to this one, which I absolutely love, our Dr. Jill Biden. She apparently has a new job. When you are in this sort of period of your life, do we need a job? I don't think so. She's done so much. She's been an educator. She's been the first lady. She's been the second lady. I think that's how they categorize the vice president's wife, when she was in the White House with him as vice president and then as president as the first lady. So she has been devoting her time to public service for her entire life. So the fact that she has a job, I'm like, good for you, but girl, do you need one? It says Jill Biden landed a new job following her 4 years in the White House, leading a California-based think tank's initiative aimed at improving women's health. So she has done all of this, and I just think that, she continuously shows us how dedicated she is to women's issues, public education, all of the things. And, good for her for actually continuing. A lot of people would have said, I am done. I am retired. Like, I am so done with this. But maybe that shows us how long people expect us to be working for. I'm not quite sure. If you are just joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. Definitely like this live stream and give it a thumbs up if you have a chance. Definitely subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. All right, let's go into a few more. This is what I wanted to focus on a little bit this live stream, which is California's gas prices could skyrocket 75%. This is from yesterday, okay? This is from yesterday, and a lot of people have been talking about President Trump has said that the gas prices are down to $1.98, and I'm like, no. I live in California. All of the gas prices that I'm seeing are near $5. Okay, in this article, it goes in even more. It says California could be heading toward a severe energy and economic crisis. This is from Newsweek. It says with gas prices potentially surging 75% to $8.43 per gallon by 2026. And this is a warning from the state's Republican Senate Minority Leader Brian Jones. So this is not a partisan thing. This is our state, due to energy and economic crisis, partially due to Trump's man-made economic crisis, could have us paying $8.43 per gallon for the same gas that people in the middle of the country are paying $2 for. Why do we over here, coastals, have to pay more for the same gas? This is my question. It continues on why it matters. Retail grade prices, hold on, I forgot to make sure that my focus is on. Retail prices for regular grade gasoline in California are already consistently higher. This is what I'm telling you. They are already higher. And it says, therefore, a dramatic surge in gas prices could deepen California's cost of living crisis, strain working families, and reverberate throughout the broader economy. I have no idea why we are paying more per gallon than someone else. The gas is the gas is the gas. Forrest Gibbs says, once you pay that just a couple of years ago. Yes, just a few years ago, we were in the same thing. I wanted to get to this part because this is like a really big portion of this. It says the closures of Phillips 76 in Los Angeles by the end of 2025 and Valero in Benicia by April 2026 are forecasted to trigger a sharp spike in fuel prices based on this analysis by University of Southern California professor. Now, what they're talking about is different companies shutting down. Okay, so not only are we going to pay higher prices, but the fact that there will be less companies actually distributing the gas, that's what they're talking about. Produce roughly 20% of the California's gasoline supply. This is talking about immediate action to prevent the closure of these two refineries. So if those two refineries close, then our gas prices, in addition to all the economic issues that are happening, are going to go up. And a lot of people would say, oh, well, that's okay. That's okay. I think that that's okay. And really, it's not okay. If we are definitely doing this sort of man-made crisis thing, I think everybody should be paying the same price. Everybody should be paying the $8.43, not just the people over here, because we're for all the equality that we possibly can. Everybody will suffer the same fate. It's just really horrible. Let me get to some more. If you have a piece of news you would like to cover, definitely drop it in the comments because there's so much going on. Let me just put this into the ether because this is, I would say, inconsequential to the daily lives of many people, but it might make sense for some. Trump plans to announce that the U.S. will call the Persian Gulf the Arabian Gulf. Now, there are many reasons that they have gone into as to why this should be and why in the region they have been calling this something other than what we have been calling it. But in the middle of financial crisis, in the middle of sending people to El Salvador, in the middle of all the things tanking, firings, Doge, all of the things, we are going to take the time to rename a body of water. Yes, this is where he's spending his time because that matters to him. I think that it might matter to some people, but to me, this is not, and it should not be the focus of his efforts. This is another big one that happened over the last few, I would say, overnight hours. Donald Trump taps wellness influencer close to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for Surgeon General. Now, there are a lot of things that have been happening with this nomination, and I'm not even sure that this is going to happen. If you've been watching his nominees, whether it's Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, who else? There are so many. Kristi Noem, they're all flailing. All of the nominees that were confirmed are flailing. Even Marco Rubio is somebody who's basically touring prisons to see where we can deport people to. He's revoking student visas for people who are writing op-eds, not for people who are violent. All of his nominees who have been confirmed are flailing. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is flailing when he's talking about, oh, we can just, suddenly cure measles without, like, he has no factual basis in whatever he's talking about. He's just, giving his advice. He's not a doctor. Okay, there are so many people in the comments, and I feel bad because I am missing out. JP said, want gas? That's a $7 a gallon, but hey, at least you're saving the earth while Gavin Newsom flies private. You know what? You have a point. There's a lot of people who might say he is a walking contradictory. Or contradiction. People might say that about Taylor Swift too. She had a lot of press coverage about her flying across the world in her private jet, and people might counter that argument with, well, she has revitalized so many different economies that maybe they're going to give her a pass. I think that a lot of people would say the same thing about Gavin Newsom. He might be using his private jet to go to different places, but Look at the economy of California. California is now the fourth largest economy in the world. We could technically be our own country if we really wanted to and secede from the United States. That's not going to happen. But a lot of people may give him a pass because of certain things that he has done for California. Now, if you get into whether or not Gavin Newsom is going to be potentially the Democratic nominee for the Democratic Party for 2028, I have to say that he might have some hurdles to face when it comes to some of his handlings over the past few years, whether it's the homeless epidemic that we have going on in California, whether it's how people are treated, whether it's the taxation or the deregulation of some of the tech companies. All of these things are going to have to be hashed out if people are going to look at him as a serious candidate for president. I think he's doing a good job, but that's just my personal opinion. Forrest Gibbs says, you have voted for this. California has mandated that 100% of new passenger cars and light trucks sold in the state must be zero emission vehicles by 2035. Okay. I mean, I know that there are a lot of different sort of regulations and incentives for electric vehicles to be made in the state, or not necessarily made in the state of California, but have the zero emissions in the state of California. And I think a lot of car companies have agreed. I'm pretty sure that with the Trump administration that they have tried to roll back that sort of initiative and car companies have pushed back. JB, let me see. Angie says, we have to wake up, please. It's almost too late. Oh my God, yes. And I'm not sure if you're talking about this story or another one, but we definitely do need to wake up. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe to my channel, definitely do that now. It is free. And you also can hit the like button on this live stream. I would definitely appreciate it. Christopher says, don't forget about us 20 million golf outing at Mar-a-Lago this weekend. I think it's like every weekend, isn't it? He's spending a lot of time on the golf course, but some people might say, better him on the golf course than starting wars. I'm not sure where you fall on this, but it feels like he needs to stay in his lane. Because he's declining. We all can see it. All right, let's see. Jay Brown Trex. My friend works as a supervisor for an oil drilling company. It takes about 1.5 years before prices would come down. You don't turn the spigot on. The companies have to see the regulations lessen. Okay, so they have to see the decrease in regulation. Now, I remember, I think I saw Donald Trump on an interview with Kristen Welker, and he was like, the prices are coming down. You know why? Drill, baby, drill. So I'm not sure where he's getting that, if the prices have to, take some time to decrease. Clearly, he's saying if we drill really quickly, then the prices go down really quickly. So I don't think that he has the same sort of process in his head as to how he's going to bring those prices down. He still hasn't brought the prices of eggs down. So he's just concepts of plans. Let's see. JP says, only in California want to leave your house, pay the gas tax, congestion fee, parking tax, and climate fee just to sit in traffic for 2 hours. I feel the pain you are talking about. To leave your house, you are paying a lot, whether it's just to pay for your car, to pay for the registration, to pay for all the fees. It's a lot. You guys are very talkative in the comments. I love this. Well, I hope that you guys keep talking. We are going to get to a few other stories. There are so many. If you didn't see this yesterday, Doge Committee goes off the rails after Democrats suggest Marjorie Taylor Greene engaged in insider trading. She was gaveling up a storm yesterday. If you haven't seen it, there are clips all over social media. She basically took away people's time. I don't know if that's a good way to say it, but some people had gone over their time. She wanted to continue her time. People were like, no, you are going over your time. You didn't give me my time. And she was like, I'm the chair of this committee. I will. It was comical because she's the one who was calling for decorum, and yet she was over here with that gavel. I thought it was going to fly out of her hand at one point. But there's some comedy in these sort of showmanship that she's projecting. If you are a Disney fan, I wanted to bring this one to your attention. Disney announces a new theme park in Abu Dhabi, its first new resort in a generation. Have you been to Disneyland, Disney World, anything like this, Disney Paris? We went to Florida. We went to Disney World over Christmas break. And before that, we were living in France. We went to Disney Paris. I absolutely love, and I've been to Disneyland a few times here in LA or Anaheim. My favorite is Disney Paris. I want to know what you think about Disney producing a new park in Abu Dhabi. I already think Disneyland is way overpriced. The magic is there, but the price is astronomical. I cannot imagine what the prices will be in Abu Dhabi. Um, Tell me in the comments, what's your favorite Disney park? Disneyland, Disney World, Disney Paris. It used to be Disney Europe, I think. What is your favorite park and why? I actually like Disney Paris because it wasn't as crowded. It was a little bit smaller and there weren't as many like parking lots of strollers. I don't know if you know what I mean by stroller parking, but it was like everywhere at Disneyland, there's like stroller parking. Let me see some of these comments. Jay Brown Trek says, last point I'll make, State of the Union, no Democrats stood for no tax on tips, overtime, or the kid with brain cancer, or the mom whose daughter was exed. That's all I need to know. You know what? It's interesting that you say that because when I watched this sort of address, because it wasn't a State of the Union, it was just a congressional address, I thought that a lot of his sort of highlighting of people during his speech was kind of like Oprah, where he was kind of like giving the guy his announcement of being in the scholarship or getting into a particular college. And then he was announcing the kid with sort of a Secret Service badge of, honor or whatever. And it felt very much like, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. And it felt like it was all about him doing the announcing. And I understand that there are some people that, no matter who is the president, they highlight certain people during their speech. And I personally was one of the people who said, I didn't think that any Democrats should show up. I didn't think that they should be there. And I saw online that they said that we showed up because if we had not shown up and sat down and made a point of sitting down and not clapping for anything, that they would have put seat fillers there and it would have looked like Democrats were there standing up and clapping for everything that he said. Now, his speech was very long, but I don't think that it did what he thought it was going to do because he didn't say anything about plans that have actually matriculated, I think is the word. And I think that he thought that it was going to be his sort of grand moment. And I don't think that that happened for him. Now, we can agree to disagree because everybody watched that and they decided what they were going to decide. I think that Al Green standing up and standing up for veterans like he did was the highlight for me because he is standing on business. And a lot of those Republicans who have constituents that clearly don't agree with what the president is doing, they are not standing up for their constituents. They are just go along to get along with the president. A lot of you have a lot of comments in there, and I have only one more that I wanted to bring you over the past few days, which is, hold on, oh, I can't find it here, but I can talk about it. The Pope, okay? So the Pope is actually, they're doing like the papal, I think it's the papal conclave, and I think they've had 3 votes so far. So if you're watching, I think there's a live stream on CNN if you want to watch. You're not really watching anything except for like the smoke stand to to like see if any smoke's coming out. Black is what you see when they have not decided and the votes they are just kind of tossing. White is what you will see when they do decide who the next pope will be. So we are on Pope watch. Obviously, there is a UK deal going on with trade and the US right now. I don't have those details because I'm talking to you right now, but there was a live press conference if you wanted to tune in to that this morning with the president talking about what kind of deals. What I saw before I joined you guys on this live stream was him talking about, I think he brought the percentage down from 25% to 10% on Bentleys. Like, I had to turn it off because he was like, we thought we would just do that for them, because Bentleys, they're not going to be made. They're a luxury car. They're not going to be made here in the United States. And it's only one car. They're not like a major manufacturer of Bentleys. They're not like, I think he said monster car maker when it comes to Bentleys. And I was like, and then he said Jaguar. And I was like, so basically, he gave preference to luxury car makers in the UK, drop their percentage down, I think he said to 10%, because it's a luxury car, it's handmade. And I'm just thinking, like, do they make Bentleys by hand? Like the way that he framed it made, and maybe the luxury interiors are made by hand. I'm not a car maker. Like, you tell me in the comments, do they make Bentleys by hand? Do they? Because it sounds like I don't know. I don't know. Now, Hash is in the comments, and I don't want you to be attacking anyone in the comments. We can agree to disagree. Keep it civil, okay? But definitely log in, subscribe to my channel. Let me know which is the story that you're following the most this morning. Is it the Golden Globes adding the podcast? If you missed that this morning while I talked about it, put it in the comments. What podcast would you like to see nominated or even win the Golden Globes New Podcast Award? Is it Disney and Abu Dhabi? Is it the UK trade deal with the US this morning? What is on your mind? Because there's so much going on. Also, if you have a chance, like this live stream so it can be sent out to more people. And know that if you are around, I do this live stream Monday through Friday, I believe around 8:30 a.m. Pacific time every morning, not weekends, but every morning, Monday through Friday. So I hope to see you guys here tomorrow. We have made it through another week on Friday. And then also I do live stream Monday through Fridays in the evenings on Substack. So if you're on Substack, go to my description of this live stream. You'll see my Substack URL, and you can join me on Substack there also. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. And all of you who have joined in the comments, you guys are amazing with all of your comments. And I really appreciate you providing your take, your information, your experience about all these different topics. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good Thursday, you guys.